Well, you read the title. You know why we're here. Today I'm going to try and beat Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion without running. Only one rule: no running in the halls. As I pull up in the footage, I map the run button to L so I can never accidentally press it during gameplay. With that being said, let's get started. I started out this run kinda worried, actually. I hadn't played the game in a long time, and I had no idea whether or not any of the specimens would suddenly just kill my run. We'll talk about each of them when they become relevant, but since nothing else is happening, let's talk about Specimen 1. It's harmless. It can't kill you, and that's pretty much all there is to say about it for now. The other thing worth pointing out at this point is that we move at an absolute snail's pace. It took more than 5 minutes to get to room 50, and it's only going to take longer to get to each checkpoint elevator from this point on. Room 60 is the moment that things finally start happening. After pretending to read the note on the table, Specimen 2 gets mad that we didn't actually read it and chases after us, trying to force us to. During its chase, there's a bunch of goop on the ground that slows you down, allowing Mr. Goop himself to catch up to you pretty easily. I didn't have high hopes that the challenge would get past this point, but then I made a fascinating discovery. It literally can't hit me. He doesn't deal contact damage, and his swing at you has such pitiful range that you can escape it by just walking in the melted Jolly Ranchers on the ground. Stay on the move, and he literally cannot hit you. And thank God. For a second I thought the challenge was going to end as soon as it started. I feel much safer now, knowing that our friend Goopy isn't going to be hurting anyone anytime soon. We make it to room 100 without much incident. The same cannot be said, however, for when we reach room 120. Specimen 3 will hurt you. Just gotta calm down. I'm gonna need more patience if I want to get through this challenge. Speaking of which, patience is the key when dealing with this giant centipede. Let's talk about the strategy. At the start of most rooms, Specimen 3 won't immediately start chasing you. Instead, there are a bunch of giant holes in the ceiling that it only pops out of when you walk underneath them. If there are no ceiling holes, it'll instead burst through the door and start chasing you immediately. Be prepared for both scenarios. If he bursts through the door, just try to get to the exit as soon as possible. He runs away after hitting you, which, even with your broken legs, can often give you enough time to passively heal before it catches up to you again. If it waits for you in the holes on the ceiling, take that opportunity to heal back to full before proceeding. Or if the area is large enough, in the case of some later rooms, try to sneak past them entirely. With enough luck, you'll get to room 150 with nothing more than a couple dozen bug bites. We don't get much of a break, however, because not long after we meet Specimen 3, we're already about to meet Specimen 4. The ghost girl known as Ringo is the first specimen that's able to go through walls, and unlike Specimen 2, if she catches up to you, she will deal contact damage. She's also one of the stronger specimens, dealing a good chunk more damage than our insect friend back there. You also don't get a chance to really breathe before she ghosts her way through the door behind you. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, really, I hear you, all of you, but in reality, her movement speed is almost the exact same as yours, just slightly slower. So as long as you don't slow down, you get enough of a head start that you should be fine in most scenarios. Editor's note right here, the game starts with an epilepsy warning. I probably should have put this at the start of the video, but if you're sensitive to like flashing lights and stuff, do not watch past this point. Anyway, not too much else to say about Specimen 5 besides that. I expected her to be much easier than the first 3, and I was correct. She's slow, she kills the player in 2 hits as opposed to the usual 3 or 4, but because of how slow she is, she won't really get the opportunity to get that second hit. And the messing with the textures isn't going to do too much more than just disorient you. Yeah. And with that, we're already a quarter of the way through.
You made it this far.
Spooky even gave us a gift and invited Specimen 1 to celebrate with us. No time to celebrate, though. We've still got 3/4 of the way to go. There's nothing new to talk about in rooms 251 through 300, other than the fact that from this point on, the checkpoint rooms are every 100 rooms rather than every 50 rooms. I hope you have the patience to crawl your way to each checkpoint. Room 310 introduces, in my opinion, the most dangerous specimen so far, Specimen 6, aka Ben the Merchant. Now, I can't tell if being slower is actually making it easier for Ben to hit me, or if I'm just bad at avoiding him, but I got hit by Ben way more than I probably should have. Either way, the strategy for how to deal with him is not really different from a casual playthrough. If you're unfamiliar, Ben the Merchant is a weeping angel, which means that you need to keep an eye on him or else he'll move. The difficult part is the fact that if you're too slow to clear a room, he'll move anyway and spawn behind you, and you don't have enough speed to consistently avoid a second attack. Or, again, it could be completely consistent and I could just be really bad at avoiding him, but I didn't have too much trouble getting to room 400. Give it a try yourself if you want to test if it's 100% consistent. Now's probably a good time to point out something important for people who might be unfamiliar with this game. Once you encounter a specimen, they can appear at any point after their initial appearance. The same strategies to deal with them apply during any of these rechases, and be prepared to have to deal with any of them at any time. I bring this up now and not earlier because Specimen 7 is an exception. The wall of flesh will slowly follow you through a bunch of branching hallways, requiring you to go the right way to get to the next room. The wall isn't very fast, in fact, I think it's one of the slowest specimens, but it lasted quite a long time, and it was very stressful. Regardless, there's nothing else new that the game throws at us before we reach room 500, the halfway point.
Here you are, alive and still here.
It's at this point that Spooky decides to do a little bit of trolling and removes the middle zero of that 500 for the next 10 rooms, but I see through her tricks. At room 550, we reach Specimen 8's hideout, where we find the savior of this entire run! Yeah, adding echo to that didn't work as well as I hoped it would. Anyway, this is a surprise tool that will help us later, and by that I mean we won't be using it for another 160 rooms. Most of the deer in this section can be snuck around, save for the last set of them, which can be easily damage boosted through. Once we encounter Specimen 8 himself, I have a minor confession to make. Before this challenge, the last time I played this game was before they added the new mechanic where he speeds through the walls to get to you quicker. I tried to get footage of him doing this, but I don't think he actually did it the first time he chased me. Either way, the strategy is nearly identical to Specimen 4. Fittingly enough, the 9th specimen we encounter is Specimen 10. And he gets this challenge's reward for lowest difficulty increase as a result of the challenge. For those who may be unfamiliar with the game, Specimen 10's mechanic is that you can't get too far from it, otherwise it will rapidly increase in speed. I hope I don't need to spell out why a lack of a run button won't make a huge difference. Also, don't tell everyone, but I died to Specimen 6 during this section and had to do Specimen 10's section again. Would you look at that? We're already at room 700. This has been pretty easy so far. Honestly, I've been playing for a while. I could go for something to eat. Oh. Oh. Oh, no. No, 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 no. This is not what I meant. Welcome to hell. Population Specimen 11. I actually thought the run was just immediately dead here. But I was not about to give up just yet. I was gonna put in the research. Wait, seriously? It's susceptible to the axe? Since frickin' when? Well, I'll be damned. Now, this is still not a win button. I said at the beginning that there was only one rule. No running in the halls. I lied. There is a second rule, which is that I can't get the bad ending. If I hit Specimen 11 7 times with my axe during the run, I'll get the bad ending. I won't explain why that is, just know that this is by far the hardest part of the run. In my personal playthrough, I was able to get through this section with enough good luck that I only had to hit him 5 times. We banked the room 750 checkpoint, and the hardest part of this run is over.
Oh, hi. I didn't think you'd make it this far.
Spooky once again tried to do some trolling, but she failed miserably this time. She gave us unlimited stamina, but she also committed the unforgivable sin of no longer permitting us to run. Thankfully, this horrible curse that would otherwise doom the challenge goes away after 10 rooms, allowing us to continue safely. There's nothing new to talk about up until we reach room 810, where Specimen 12 is. Now, my feelings on Specimen 12 are kinda mixed. I went into this thinking that he would be the hardest specimen we face. He's pretty fast normally, so this was, in my mind, the final legitimate hurdle. But it turned out to be not that bad somehow. When he chases you at the end of room 110, he is running, but he's not actually running as fast as he usually does. Just don't get lost when escaping the cellar like I did. During the actual chase, I found that whenever he started running, he seemed to stop whenever rounding a corner. Just stay on the move, and you'll learn that he's actually much easier to deal with than Specimen 11. Now that we've escaped that, we only have 100 rooms left. Once we get to room 910, we are introduced to the final specimen chase sequence, Specimen 13, aka the Siren. Probably one of the easiest specimens to deal with in the challenge, but also probably one of the most time-consuming. In order to avoid her attacks, you need to stand on the boxes. Stepping off the boxes will allow for her to chase and damage you. The strategy is simple. If you get hit, just get to the next box and don't step off of it until you're at full health. With this strategy, the final specimen can be conquered in about 20 minutes. Yeah, I'm not about to show the full 20 minutes sped up here. Instead, if you want to see the full chase, and the full run for that matter, I'll be posting the whole thing right after this, link in the description. And with that, there's pretty much no more roadblocks, other than the possibility of Specimen 11 showing up on the rechase cycle. If that ever happens, by the way, just reset. But other than that, there's no more roadblocks. We make it to room 1000, find out where Specimen 9 was hiding this whole time, and prove that it is possible to beat Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion without running. If this video gets enough attention, I'll do this for Karamari Hospital and the Dollhouse DLC as well. That's a freaking tongue twister.